Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Day's Podcast along with a new video. I want to thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing, viewing, watching, and listening. I truly appreciate it. We will be doing exclusives on Patreon and Spotify. Just bear with me. I am definitely going to be doing it. I have story times to catch up on, and I also wanted to continue to give you guys such free content that has been just, making sure we get into making sure we know, all different topics and different things in the world. Why not? So today we are going to talk about Sol-Angel and the Hadley St. Dreams by Solange. So be sure to check out Solo Star. I have talked about Solange's debut album, and I have also talked about her sister Beyonce. You guys can check out all of Beyonce's commentary that I have talked about in my previous episodes as well. But we are talking about Solange today. So yes, let's get into it. Sol-Angel and the Hadley St. Dreams is the second studio album by American R&B singer and songwriter Solange. It was released on August 26th, 2008 by Geffen Records. Solange was heavily influenced by the Motown sound of the 1960s and 70s prior to the album's recording, prompting her to work with several like-minded producers and songwriters such as Jack Splash, CeeLo Green, Mark Ronson, and Lamont Dozier, formerly of Motown's Holland Dozier Holland. The production also incorporated elements of downbeat and electronic music that Solange had familiarized herself with on previous trips to Europe, while the songwriting explored themes of independence. So, yeah, she let me read this more. Departing from the dance pop R&B of Solange's debut album Solo Star in 2002, Sol-Angel and the Hadley St. Dreams was marketed, or maybe it's Hadley. I'm not sure. It says Hadley. I'm not sure. Was marketed towards the intellectual backpacking coffee shop digital youth audience, as described by her record label. In its first week of release, the album charted at number 9 on the Billboard 200 and sold 46,000 copies. It eventually reached 138,000 sold in the US. Meanwhile, its 3 singles all reached number 1 on the Billboard Dance Club Songs. So its 3 singles all reached number 1 on the Billboard Dance Club Songs. Critically, Sol-Angel and the Hadley St. Dreams was well received, with reviewers generally finding the music ambitious, eccentric, and intelligently made. Okay, so this was a step further for Solange. I think that a lot of times, as they say, this person had a debut, will they do better? And I've talked about this before, and I did read up on it too, where they want to say that there's a curse on your second album. A curse that could go on from your second album or to your second album, where if you didn't do as well, or if you did, will your second album really stamp you? And there's times that people come out with mixtapes. There's times that people come out with EPs. And it be those projects that get shine as much as an album would. So it all can vary. So I don't want anyone just feeling like, oh, album, single. There'll be times it'd be single EP, single soundtrack, okay? Soundtracks can get Grammys, okay? Whitney, shoo. So I just want everyone to understand that this definitely was, a step further. Solange had been working on her second studio album on and off since 2005, following her return home to Houston, Texas, and her divorce from Daniel Smith, with whom she had lived following the birth of her son, Daniel Jules, in October 2004. So yes, her first studio album, she, I can't say whether she was conceiving yet or anything by, mid to late 2003, but I do know that she was going through a few different changes in her life. And the follow-up to the critical and commercial disappointment of 2003's Solo Star was preceded by Solange's move from Columbia to Geffen Records in late 2007. Solange was heavily influenced, like I said, by Motown girl groups, such as the Supremes and the Marvelettes, and by her mother Tina, a one-time member of the 1960s harmony group, the Veltones, who used to play music by the likes of Dusty Springfield and Martha Reeves to her. Okay, so yeah, I won't. And commercial disappointment. Yeah, I don't like when they be so vague. But besides the point, this was an album that was letting people know, like, oh my God, despite appearing on Soldier and being really pregnant, and you know, just from coming back and having a movie, okay? You know, there was a movie that she released. There was a movie that came out and was released as far as with Bring It On, All or Nothing. So it's just like there was a lot that was building up to this album that people were like, oh my God, she's back. And in a great way, you know, I feel as though she was missed in a way where I will say, for me, I feel as though there was just more that, you know, could have been given and was wanting to be given to us. And this was that moment where it was just coming out, you know. Yeah, Solange collaborated with several studio personalities. Marsha Ambrosius of Floetry lent vocals to the unreleased recording Wanna Go Back with Raphael Sadiq and British singer Estelle. And we will be talking about Estelle and why y'all did not give her absolute more life despite Steven Universe and among other things. But no, American Boy is legendary. I love that song. And yes, an American Boy came out literally, you know, within a year or so after that. So, you know, seeing Estelle in the midst of this production is it's heartwarming because she's good too. But yes, let's look at. Okay, so she had 5 singles. So I Decided, April 22nd, 2008. And I remember when it came out. Yeah, it was spring going into summer. Yeah, it was nice. Champagne, Chron and Nightcap, released August 19th, 2008. August 19th, such a special date. 3, Sandcastle Disco, released November 25th, 2008, and then Tony, Tony, released March 31st, 2009, and then Wanna Go Back, August 17, 2010. So it's been over a year for another single from the album, but yeah, she let's see here. So she struggled to convince her wish-listed musicians to contribute to Sol-Angel and the Hadley St. Dreams production-wise. This was due to no producer signing on to the project before hearing any material for the album. I don't think it was offensive, Solange admitted. I understand that these are people that want to take on credible, passionate projects. So before I would work with them, I would schedule a meeting and play them the record. And then they were more convinced and willing to get on board. CeeLo Green and Mark Ronson were not consulted until late into the production of the album, both having been persuaded by Solange at the 50th Grammy Awards ceremony. I had to party with CeeLo too to get him to work on the record, but once he did listen to my music, he signed on immediately. Do you not see what I see here? And this is in a positive way of what I'm about to say. There are times, and people don't like to talk about it because, you know, they just think that, you know, rap can't do it like this too. It happens in rap as well. You may see it more in men than women, but it happens in rap as well, where your, you know, favorite artist may tap someone that you wouldn't think and be like, hey, I want to work with you. And it's happened. It's all happened. You know, and there's great outcomes from it, and sometimes there may not be, based on whether these people continue to work or don't. But we have seen it in time where in any genre that people will collab out of the woodworks, and sometimes it takes a ceremony, sometimes it takes just being, you know, at an event, or just reaching out to people privately, because sometimes you don't want always people knowing, hey, I'm going to collab with this person, because it could be a surprise. I know with Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, that was a surprise for me because, you know, I've always seen them support each other, you know, from their projects, but just to see them work together, you know, and it's a similar thing with when it comes to Chris Martin and Beyonce, you know, with Coldplay, where it's just like, wait a minute, we've always seen them clap for each other, but we never thought we would hear him for the weekend. You know what I mean? Like, it's just those little things, you know? So that's good to know, where it's just like, you know, there are people that are willing to work with you as long as you show them what you got going on. And also, like they had said here, that a lot of times that there are people that will feel as though, well, you know, I like this. If there's any more that you have, and it's just like, well, no, this is what I have so far. I want to know right now, what do you think? You know, and ain't nobody got time for that in 2025 nowadays. You know, back then it was just like, you know, I'll give you more, but nowadays it's like, if I send you even just 2 songs and you ain't feeling it, there's about 4 or 5 people I'm about to send this to, so good luck to you. Then if that song goes great, and I end up going #1, and I'm all of a sudden at the Grammys and they talk about, well, here you go, it's just like, you know, and I've seen in ceremonies, you know, in the audience, where I see certain producers or certain artists where I'm just like, yeah, it would have been something if you did something with this person, and it's not wrong, and you can still do it, you still have time. It's okay. Getting on a serious note, yeah, she had promotional photography in an array of costumes and wigs that invoke late 1960s and early 1970s fashion styles. But yes, let's see here. By April 2009, the album had sold 138,000 copies in the U.S. Yep. Critical reception was met with generally positive reviews. At Metacritic, which assigns a normalized rating out of 100 to reviews from mainstream publications, the album received an average of 72 based on 14 reviews. So for me, and for what that says, that is good. Because I have read upon albums where they would have a 72 with more reviews. I've seen, and just in recent times with Doechii, well, a recent video with Doechii, be sure to check that out. You know, she just recently just won a Grammy. You notice that there was only 6 reviews, but she had a 79. Okay, so when you have a certain amount of reviews and it's still in the 70s, the album's good. Okay, just from what I'm looking at based on the critics here. But like I told you, I don't always look at critics and just filter and just be like, all right, so it's good. Like, no, there'd be times I look at what a critic will say and be like, all right, well, you know, I understand what you're saying here, but it's not piecing in with the project. You're kind of looking more or less at the aesthetic and not the music and the craft. You know what I mean? I am that person, or one of those people that will literally just be like, all right, well, no, this critic is not paying too much attention to the actual body of work. They're just more or less looking at why the ear is not matching this ear. It's like, well, they're different ears regardless. This is not the same person from this time. So besides the point, let's see here. Yes. Reviewing the album in The Village Voice, Rob Havila called it bizarrely mesmerizing and said that the idiosyncratic and unconventional lyrics of songs invite inexplicable but highly favorable comparisons to Kate Bush. I don't know what that means, but I for me, again, this album is just pretty good. As far as And then they're saying some reviewers expressed reservations. I mean, and again, like, there were reviews even before in the 90s where they would just feel as though, you know, there could have been more substance of this or put more into this, but it's just, no. This is my album. Get into all of it. Stop. Don't even try to compare anything else. Just get into me, okay? So let's look at the track list. So track 1 is God Given Name. Track 2 is Tony. So already by track 2, I'm loving it. It's like, oh, wait a minute. If it wasn't for Tony, don't get me. No, I missed this time. Oh. And this album came out right before I Am Sasha Fierce. So it's just like, you know, people were already kind of getting into Solange, you know, more, as opposed to Beyonce coming back. Like, all right, well, you know, if I were a boy. It's like, no, but yes, track 3, Dancing in the Dark. Track 4 is Would Have Been the One. Track 5 is Sandcastle Disco. Track 6, I Decided Part 1. Track 7, Valentine's Day. Track 8, 6 O'Clock Blues. Track 9, Ode to Marvin. Track 10, I Told You So. Track 11, Cosmic Journey featuring Bilal. Track 12, This Bird. Track 13, I Decided Part 2, Freemasons Remix. Yeah, Freemasons Remix. What a name. And I'm not one for y'all to shy away what Freemason, you know, what that word is and what that is. Freemasonry is a fraternal organization that's made up of men who meet to build friendships and communities. Freemasons are guided by principles of integrity, friendship, respect, and service. I don't know this organization and how they do things and what they're about. I just know they're their own thing among other things that are out there in the world. Will we talk about those type of topics? They might be talked about on the Patreon. Because, you know, I do and possibly may have younger viewers that kind of look at my videos, and I'm not going to have them just be looking at stuff that is kind of a little too mature for them. So if we talk about certain topics that are kind of like not things that are kind of always visually looked at or talked about on YouTube, that will be exclusively, and that will be where we can have real dialogue and go from there. But besides the point, iTunes edition bonus track, White Picket Dreams. Track 15, Champagne Chronic Nightcap featuring Lil Wayne. That was the iTunes pre-order bonus track. Track 14, as far as the UK Circuit City edition bonus track, that was the Champagne Chronic Nightcap. But Circuit City, huh? We ain't heard about Circuit City in a long time. I miss Circuit City. Just that word, where did time go? Formerly Circuit City Stores is an American consumer electronics retail company which was founded in 1949. Yeah, Circuit City's gone. I gotta say, Best Buy took over, among other stores. So, yeah, we'll miss Circuit City. But 2010 digital deluxe edition with bonus tracks, as far as 14 being 6 O'Clock Blues, whatever radio remix. Track 15, I Told You So, Mike Rizzo Funk Generation Radio mix, and then track 16, Wanna Go Back featuring Marsha Ambrosius and Q-Tip. There was a 2015 deluxe edition. So yes, the deluxe edition has pretty much the same track listing, except there is 17, which is Fuck the Industry. Fuck the Industry is a song recorded by American singer Solange. The song leaked online in 2008 and was reported to be part of a mixtape recorded by Solange called I Can't Get Clearance. However, the mixtape was never released and the song received an official release. So she was going to come out with a mixtape, and she had soon later came out with an EP. We will learn over time that she does have an imprint. I believe it's St. Heron, but she has her own independent label. And this isn't, this song is pretty much just validation of why you should always want to market and sell and do things for you over time, regardless, because you want to protect yourself. And I think also, I don't know why I keep referring to I keep reference I keep going back. The word reference, child. I believe her name is Chapel Roan had said, that, and I will look into her name more, and I will look into her more. Her birthday is actually about 2 weeks from now. I believe she's an early Pisces. But she is 26, and yes, we will look at Chapel Roan. But she pretty much was saying, and a lot of people may have said it in the past, but just wasn't fully heard. But just seeing it from a Grammy stage, you kind of have to listen at some point where it's just like, no, like there's artists out here that we keep seeing on this screen that are just somehow no longer here no more, and there's no health insurance. Okay, you wonder why Solange had a song called "Fuck the Industry." Where's the health insurance? Where's the clearance? Where's people being able to know that their music won't be shelved because you want to help somebody else? Okay? and they have that right. Like, if it's like working at it's like working at Dunkin' or working at any type of corporate job where you kind of say to yourself, all right, well, why is this person getting a little bit more praise for putting more coffees and more sandwiches? Because even though you may be doing the same thing with and around somebody else, that don't mean that if they working a little harder that people ain't gonna be like, all right, well, let me give you an extra $1. Okay, so it's just the security of having insurance and just more support all around in the industry. That is important. So I give both of these artists that credit on just speaking out, and even just making a song that may have not been supposed to have been heard, but it was able to be heard because, shoot, it had to be. People had to know. Even from Solange's perspective, like, no, things got to change. But yes, it debuted at number 9. And, yeah, it did well. I enjoyed this album. And I want you all to enjoy this album and continue to listen to this album. As I keep talking about certain topics and things, Tony is still kind of ringing in my head, as it would with y'all. But yes, listen to the album, and thank you guys so much for listening. And I truly appreciate you guys watching, and I'll be back with more.